Hiya, welcome to My Compound Life. I am Jonathan. Welcome to yet another episode of My Compound Life Bitcoin Daily. At the time of recording, we are on the 29th of January 2026, about 9:30 in the morning. So it's good to see you all. If you're new here, I make Bitcoin video almost on a daily basis. So remember, guys, hit the like. Come on, hit the like right now. Do the thumbs up. Hit the like. Subscribe for more daily content. I'm a small content creator, so like and subscribe can really help me out, to get my content out to more people. Okay, so let's start today. Let's start the morning. Let's start. Where do we start? Trading view. Okay, so Bitcoin price right now is around 87,852. So right now Bitcoin is trading around this range. In the past 24 hours, it has gone down a bit, about 1%-ish, starting from around 89,300, hitting a high of 90,000, right? So that's pretty good, 90,400. It's a pretty good high. And a low around 88,000. We are still about 30% away from the previous all-time high of $126,000. That was sometime in October last year, guys. So not good. It does seem that all of the bounces are essentially just dead cat bounces. Look at where we are, guys. I mean, let's look at 4 hours chart, right? Look at how far have we been, So this was the peak at around 6th of October. And then these are all dead cat bounce, more dead cat bounce, some good dead cat bounce, tiny little baby dead cat bounce, So Bitcoin has been steady, but a bit down for the past 24 hours, especially after the big news, like the Fed deciding to keep the interest rate the same. I think it's a given. I've been telling you guys about this already, right? Don't have any expectation of a rate cut. Polymarket already priced this in for all of us. So yeah, I think not much to chat about in terms of price action, but something definitely to consider for the next couple of days will essentially be we are kind of range bound between the price of 88,000 to about 90,000. And as long as we kind of stay in this zone and continue to chop solidate, I think that will be good. As we are now officially waiting for the next catalyst, right? I'll come into some of the available catalysts in just a moment. But for now, I think as long as we chop solidate between this zone, there's still some likelihood of more dead cat bounce. Maybe we'll get back. Maybe I don't think we'll get back to about 97. Maybe get back to about 95 or the low 95, something like that. But anyway, I think for the time being, we will continue to consolidate between this zone, and yeah, hopefully, we don't drop below 88,000. That's pretty important. Okay, so let's move now on to the fear and greed index. Fear and greed index right now, we are back at the fear zone. Drop a little bit from yesterday. Yesterday was around 30. We're now at 25. So this week has pretty much all been at the fear zone. and yeah, with a day of extreme fear. But that's fine. I think we do know the rhythm of Bitcoin, so we do have expectation already for the Bitcoin price in the coming 12 months. I think, well, at least for the coming 10 months, the worst case would be we are heading towards a bear market, and that's fine. We have all priced in already mentally for that to happen. So just hang in there, guys. Hang in there. I know it's frustrating. Everything's pumping all-time high. Gold, another all-time high, guys. Another all-time high yesterday after the Fed's no rate cut announcement. What was it? 5,400? The high of 5,400, I believe. Yeah. But anyway, it is what it is, right? We'll just have to continue to hodl and stay strong. And of course, I want to remind you guys, how far are we from the next Bitcoin halving date? So the next Bitcoin halving will be on the 12th of April 2028. Okay. So that's only about 803 days left, guys, right? So what's going to happen after the halving date? Well, let me remind you guys, after the halving date, right, Bitcoin will start to go up, right? Because all of this supply shock gonna kick in, right? And you know how much Bitcoin are getting bought up. Not by you and me, right? We are like the tiny buyers of Bitcoin right now. The big buyers, the huge buyers, like the strategy, MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor, MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor, guys, right? Like institutions, ETF, BlackRock, Fidelity, Bitwise, you name it. Like even that burger company, Steak and Shake, right? So all of these companies are buying up Bitcoin, right? The supply shock is real, guys, right? I'm not kidding, right? No longer, right? So I did some video before that essentially showcased to you how much Bitcoin are being gobbled up, and the amount that get minted, the amount of Bitcoin that gets minted, it's totally insufficient to supply for all of these big companies. And I'll bring in some more news. Who else are introducing Bitcoin into the nation adoptions, right? So supply shock, guys, will be real, right? And there will not be any more Bitcoin for any of us, right? Or cheap Bitcoin for any of us. So bear that in mind, guys. Bear that in mind. 803 days left till the next halving event, right? So after the next halving event, Bitcoin, for each block, Bitcoin, the awards for each block for the miner will be about 1.5 Bitcoin. Okay, we are now at around 3.12 Bitcoin. So after the halving event, each block, the reward for the miners to finalize a block, they will only be awarded 1.5 Bitcoin. Okay, so the supply and demand, right? There'll be so much more demand that's gonna, the whole supply shock is gonna kick in, guys. So I'm excited, genuinely excited about this. I don't know about you guys, right? Looking at this clock counting down, just cause so much excitement for Bitcoin. Okay, of course, the price action right now sucks, but it's okay, right? We all know what's gonna happen in a few more years' time, guys, right? So take note of that. And more importantly, whomever are looking to stack Bitcoin, please make sure you stack enough cash, okay, to resume your stacking journey for Bitcoin, right? So for any of you guys that does daily DCA, well done, absolute legend, right? I do DCA too, but I kind of like DCA more on steroid, much more towards November this year. Then I'll be like, yeah, man, I'm gonna DCA for at least a good year. Whatever money that I can find under the couch, I'm just gonna go all in on Bitcoin. That's the way forward, guys. That's the way forward. Okay, so let's move on to ETF. Okay, let me refresh this, guys. ETF, guys. ETF. 28th of January. Not good. I mean, it's not as bad. Only $20 million worth of outflow, right? Mainly coming from BlackRock, Bitwise, ARK Invest, and so forth, right? So not too bad in comparison to yesterday, $147 million worth of outflow. And if we look at the weekly chart, it's all red, but not as bad as last week, right? So we're on a Thursday. I think maybe would be another red day for today, and tomorrow it's gonna bring us there. So not as bad comparison to last week of $1.33 billion worth of outflow for Bitcoin ETF. This week so far, it's only $160 million worth of outflow. So not too bad. We are kind of recovering-ish, I hope. Maybe not. And then move on to Ethereum ETF. Not too good either. Actually, Ethereum, it's 28 million worth of inflow, mainly coming from BlackRock and Fidelity. Okay, and then I can explain why. Let me just... This is Solana. Okay, let's look at... Did I just look at the ETH one? So this is the ETH one. The Bitcoin one, I actually called out the wrong one. Okay, so let me just do the Bitcoin. This was the Bitcoin one. Okay, so let's look at the Ethereum one. Let me change the URL. ETH. Okay, so Ethereum weekly is at the $81 million inflow so far for Ethereum. So well done, Ethereum. Last week was absolute horrible, of 611 million worth of outflow. Compared to this week, it's 88 million worth of inflow. So pretty bullish for Ethereum so far. And I think I can explain why, right? So let me give you guys some Ethereum hopium, right? I'm no way endorsing to, encourage you guys to hold a bag of Ethereum. Just for transparency, clarity, I do hold a bag of Ethereum, which I'm also considering, right? Previously, I think in my few previous video, I was like, you know what, let's sell that ETH baby, just sell them all, right? But maybe I'll hold some for a longer period of time, right? Maybe Ethereum might come back. You never know. But anyway, some hopium news. Wall Street continues to choose Ethereum. So Fidelity Investment starts its own stablecoin in a massive bet that future of banking is on blockchain. So the FIDD tokens will run on Ethereum, serves institutional and retail users, and comply with the new Genius Act's reserve rules. Okay, so what the hell is this? So Fidelity, a pretty big asset investment management company. How do you class them as that? But anyway, they have well over $5.9 trillion worth of asset under management. Is launching its own USD-backed stablecoin. It's called FIDD. Okay, so on Ethereum in early February 2026. So that's pretty soon. It will be available for all of you guys, right? In the US. It will enable seamless on-chain payment, 24/7 settlements, and integration across Fidelity's crypto platforms and major exchanges. So that's pretty big deal for Fidelity. So this is yet another massive TradFi vote of confidence in Ethereum as the go-to blockchain for tokenized real-world asset and institutional finance. So following launches from BlackRock, JP Morgan, and all others. And of course, Fundstrat's Tom Lee, very excited about this too. He says major financial institutions are launching their financial tokenized products on Ethereum. So Ethereum is the future of finance. Okay, so yeah, bullish for ETH as TradFi, traditional finance, that is. Adoptions kind of accelerates. Okay, so yeah, that kind of brings me, to reconsider whether to sell all of my bags for Ethereum. And I know, because ever since after I've created that video about me cannot hold on any longer, it's essentially because I need to find more stuff to liquidate, right? And to get myself ready for this, guys, for this guys, this is important. How does the finger goes, man? Yeah, this, guys, this timing, it's freaking important, right? So I need you guys to be aware of that. So that's why I've been looking to liquidate here and there, get my cash ready, right? Even gonna sell some properties in London just so that I can get back into this, guys. This, right? And of course, after looking at this, I'm like, yeah, you know what? Maybe Ethereum can run for a longer period of time. You never know, right? So appreciate many of you guys that left me some message earlier, right? Just some call out, guys, right? So Wonders 3217 left me a message about 16 hours ago. Ethereum and Solana are digital real estates that pays staking reward without paying property tax or worry about tenant issues. Incredible. I'm going through this tenant thing. I'm still waiting to finalize my apartment. The previous tenant absolutely trashed it, right? They totally mismanage it and then cause a lot of mold in the apartment that cost me a lot of money to refurbish, yada, yada, yada. But anyway, right, coming back to WonderZ3217, while Bitcoin just sits there, absolutely right? So what I do is keeping the two major alts and turning those rewards into BTC. I never thought about that, right? Hence, like getting BTC for free. It's not as if I never thought about that. I never actually did any of this because my goal is to, the longer that I hold on to altcoins, right? Despite the fact that Ethereum and Solana, they are layer one, they are pretty stable, a pretty big blockchain, by the way, Ethereum and Solana. I think Solana actually, it's pretty winning one for now for layer one because the total value locks, well, Ethereum's got plenty of total value locks too, but the fact that Solana is a highly profitable chain right now, makes it slightly more safer in my consideration to hold. But of course, knowing all of these institutions' adoptions on Ethereum, maybe I would reconsider. So my whole thinking always right? My whole thinking, it's important that I have to call this out for my compound life, especially letting you guys know some other key important habits of how I manage crypto assets. I know it's a Bitcoin video, but let's talk a little bit about crypto for now, right? So we need to always, be on our toes to ensure that we always rotate back into Bitcoin, right? Because any asset, when we compare with Bitcoin, it will trend towards zero if we compare that to Bitcoin, right? And more importantly, any crypto, could be shitcoin, meme coin, crypto, you don't want to hold that for too long, right? One of the biggest reasons will be you never know what's going to happen, right? So Bitcoin has been the one and only and has a lot more wider institutions adoption. So that's why you want to hold that for a longer period of time, right? And the rest, what you want to do is make some good gain, and that's where you want to get out. So that's why for Ethereum and Solana, I'm more like holding to them. I'm not selling the staking rewards, because that can help me to lower my average a lot more faster, right? So that can help me to also get out of my trade with higher profitability. So that's why I don't always I don't sell the staking rewards and then put them into Bitcoin. But definitely it's something, you bring this up for my consideration. So yes, thank you, WonderZ3217. And of course, another guy, Nick, what's his name? Nick, can't pronounce this. But anyway, Nick, thanks for the reminder. Buy some ETH and maybe Solana too. Maybe tokenization, it's a thing. It is. Can definitely see it right here. Harsh Barwani, don't sell ETH. I know, guys. I will definitely reconsider. I haven't sold that much. But anyway, could be an interesting one. So yes, some of you guys leave me, about ETH comments. So that's why I kind of want to bring that up into attention. Okay, so quickly look through Solana, Sold ETF. How are they doing? Yesterday, 28th of Jan, it's all positive inflows for 6.7 million. So that's pretty awesome. And if we look through weekly, I think is doing pretty well. I mean, weekly, it's definitely better than last week. I think ETF will definitely close up higher this week. Okay, so that's all your ETF. I think everything pump, everything's inflow apart from Bitcoin, unfortunately. So yeah, we're gonna have to live with that. Okay, so let's move on to the next section. The next section, news that moves Bitcoin price section. I think this is pretty important. Okay, so let's look at this. From the economic calendar, the big ones for the FOMC interest rate decision on January 28th, that was yesterday at 2 p.m. The decision from Jerome Powell was essentially to hold the rate. No rate hikes or no rate reduction, basically. Okay, so yesterday they kept rates at 3.5%. No cuts or hike. The vote was actually 10-2, meaning only 2 members wanted a cut and nobody pushed for a hike. Okay, so yeah, so somehow to this extent, I just felt it's not a Jerome Powell and Trump thing, right? It's much more about, what's sensible for the market. That's why they make that decision. Okay. So Powell, the chair, spoke after and said hikes are not the base case anymore. Okay. So meaning they are done tightening. He noted inflation is high, but mostly from tariffs, not demand, and it could peak mid 2026, then drop. So also economy is strong, jobs stabilizing. Okay, so yeah, I've got some summary from Jerome Powell's speech here, right? So overall, his speech, I think a few key takeaway, right? So US $38.5 trillion worth of debt, guys, right? That's horrible. I don't know how you guys can live like that, right? Jerome Powell definitely called that out and said it's unsustainable. It's not sustainable. And the sooner it gets addressed, the better, right? And I think this is what pumped gold to another all-time high yesterday as soon as Jerome Powell said this, right? And of course, another point, U.S. economy showing stronger growth and resilient despite geopolitical tensions and tariffs, and inflation's tracking of expectations. Okay, so that's good. That's good. That means, at least no rate hike required. Okay. Another key point, the U.S. economy showing stronger growth and another point, raising rate isn't our main plan right now. No decision yet on future meetings. That to me sounds pretty hawkish, to be honest. So the direction is no longer should we hike more in terms of interest rate. However, it is much more about how long do we hold the rate before we cut, right? And without knowing whether there would be one for March or April, to be completely honest, I think the next one would be March or April, and then followed by June. At least for the coming two quarter, at least for quarter one and quarter two. I think for Bitcoin perspective, it will be pretty bearish, and I just think we'll just continue to retrace for another month or two or so, right? Because this, guys, is essentially the catalyst, and without any rate cut, it's not gonna help. It's not gonna help, right? Fed shouldn't be controlled by elected official. Yeah, and of course, another last point that's also mentioned. Powell said he will give no comment on Department of Justice probe, DOJ probe, on new Fed chair and dollar crash and gold, right? So, and asked about government shutdown. So this one is quite interesting. Powell said any effects from the shutdown should be reversed this quarter, meaning he sees it as temporary, not a structural shift. So when you put everything together, the message is very clear. The Fed is done hiking. Okay, so no more rate hike. Inflation pressure is kind of fading. Tariffs are the main remaining risk, right? So I think the only ways for Fed to essentially, call on for another rate cut will, we're just going to have to wait for Trump to stop all of this tariffs BS, right? It's no good. And of course, financial conditions are no longer being tightened. That's good. So the whole system is shifting from restriction to stabilization for now. And it kind of confirms a few things, right? The tightening cycle is over. now the market is kind of waiting for the easing cycle to begin, right? So towards the end of year, I've always called out to you guys, right, not to be too overly bullish, because everyone was expecting kind of like a V-shaped recovery after, October the 10th, crypto Bitcoin, drawdown, right? That leverage flush, right? And everyone was actually calling out quantitative easing coming, rate cut reduction, yada yada yada, right? So I've called out that, guys, just hold your horses. We need to assess the whole situation, right? Until we can definitely see a rate reduction or real quantitative easing, right? Because everyone was expecting that December QT stop, January Jerome Powell is going to print like hell, and then January we'll have one of the rate cut. The market will go wild on February onwards. But the reality of this takes time, guys, right? I've been through it. There's so much hype. There's so much bullishness on the social media. So that's where I want to come in and calm everyone down, to manage your expectation and my expectation a little bit more, right? So until we actually see another rate cut, which I don't think we'll have one in March or April, right? Until we actually see some real money gets printed, right? To plug the holes for Japanese yen, to plug the holes for, I don't know, whatever, right? And then until we see some Trump checks that comes in, $2,000, guys, for each one of you, right? So until we actually seen any of that, market's not going to get moved anytime soon. So realistically, I think there was a user that also have similar timing. Will have to be towards end of Q2 before we see any positive sign for Bitcoin. I'm just thinking out loud. Not financial advice. Do your own research, guys. Yep. So, I think Polymarket definitely thinks April and maybe June. So, yeah, just bear that in mind, guys. And of course, there are more data that are coming in today, for Thursday. This is so this is the US data, initial job loss. That's the US data on new people filing for unemployment benefits for week ending January the 24th. So forecast is about 205,000. Actual, of course, is not out yet. It will be out later today. So low numbers means strong jobs. High means weak. And yesterday, I think Amazon announced that they're cutting about 16,000 jobs. I don't know whether that's globally or just the US, but I think that's globally. But anyway, I don't think these numbers would look good. But anyway, there's always some sort of implication for us. I think for holders of Bitcoin, it certainly does matter, because strong jobs could mean Fed keep rates high for a longer period of time, right? So less boost for Bitcoin. So hopefully, I mean it's bad to say that, like, hopefully when more people get unemployed, that will eventually give us the opportunity for Fed to cut interest rate and, and our assets to pump. Okay, moving on. News that will impact Bitcoin price. Okay, it's this one. Major crypto market structure bill. Okay, so watch out for today. There will be some announcement at 10:30 a.m. in the US time, right? So sometime in our afternoon in the UK. The U.S. Senate Agriculture Committee will vote on a major crypto market structure bill today. If this bill is approved and signed by President Trump, it could reduce price manipulation and wash trading in crypto nearly 70%, right? So what the hell does all of this mean, right? So remember, guys, back in October the 10th, when Bitcoin suddenly just dipped and all your crypto dipped, and a lot of traders, leverage long traders got wiped out, right? And then someone came out and say it was a glitch. It wasn't a glitch. It was all market manipulation, guys, right? So hopefully this kind of meltdown like the October the 10th last year, you see less of them happening, okay? So at least these are something Trump, these are some better news that Trump is trying to move forward with, right? Remember this speech Trump said in Davos? Let me play that.
I'm also working to ensure America remains the crypto capital of the world. Yeah. And to that end, last year I signed the landmark Genius Act into law. Now Congress is working very hard on crypto market structure legislation, Bitcoin, all of them, which I hope to sign very soon, unlocking new pathways for Americans to reach financial freedom. And I did it for two reasons. Number one, I thought it was politically good, and it was. I got tremendous political support. But more importantly, China wanted that market too. It's just like they want the AI. And we've got that market, I think, pretty well locked up. If I didn't do it, Biden was totally against it until before the election when they realized.
But anyway, I think this is something Trump also wanted. So let's hope, we'll get something moving. I think having some clarity, something along the line to prevent more of this meltdown in the future will always be good. Okay, so let's move on to other interesting news section, guys. So White House to host banking and crypto execs on crypto clarity bill. Okay, so the White House is reportedly convening banking and crypto executives on February the 2nd. So that's sometime next week to revive stalled U.S. crypto legislation after Senate progress on market structure rules collapsed earlier this month. Okay, so just about when they had these meetings, something happened. The banks, it seems the big banks are changing the bills. And then once Brian Armstrong, CEO of Coinbase, he uncovered that and he was like, no, I don't support this. I think so. Essentially what this means, because I think one of the biggest thing that Brian Armstrong not keen to support, it's because of some of the clauses that prevents the yield that can be passed on to customers like us for stablecoin, right? You guys know, like if you stake or lend out your stablecoin, the yield can be pretty high on crypto exchanges or DeFi, right? In comparison to the US bank, you only get like 1% for leaving that on your saving account. Whereas if you leave that onto a crypto exchange, it actually goes up a lot more, like 3%, 2%, 4%, and so forth, right? So the big banks are trying to prevent this from moving forward. And then somehow Brian Armstrong called out, having no bill is better than having a crappy bill. So anyway, I think Trump admins want to gather everyone to bring them back. Let's not fight anymore. Let's try to move this forward. And eventually, I think this will be good. But to be honest, I think this kind of things will probably take a much more longer period of time, right? Because in a way, we are and will take more money away, more profitability margin away from the banks. And bank will probably need time to pivot more into crypto too, right? So if that's the case, bank will probably want to stall all of this effort and defer it, right? So to be honest, I kind of expect this to take longer period of time. And of course, Trump administration does say once the market structure bill passes, banks will fully enter crypto space. The market structure bill will allow them to enter the crypto space, but banks, the TradFi, they haven't got enough of the technology to help them to pivot fast enough, right? So that's why I still felt maybe the bills will take longer period to confirm and to settle, just so the bank can eventually front run this a little bit. Okay, so yeah, I think this was also mentioned. Let's hear this out.
A good compromise is everyone leaves a little bit unhappy, right? But I think what's going to happen is that after market structure passes, the banks are going to get fully into the crypto industry. So we're not going to have a separate banking industry and crypto industry. It's going to be one digital assets industry. And I think
and will they be regulated?
Their opinions are going to evolve over time. And I bet you, over time, the banks like the idea of paying yield because they're going to be in the stablecoin business.
But will they also be regulated the same way? And I guess that's a big... I mean, the banks will say, hey, if they get to do all the same things we do, how come they don't get regulated the same way?
Well, I guess because they're offering slightly different products, right? Yeah. So, but I mean, everyone offering the same product should be regulated the same way, and we want to get to that harmonization.
Yeah. So, what you guys are seeing right now, banks, traditional finance are there. They're all trying to get into the crypto world, Bitcoin world, our world, right? And of course, every now and then, you also have our world trying to enter into a traditional finance type of world, right? So another interesting news that I want to bring for you guys will be crypto bros can't hold any more news, right? So tokenized gold rips on chain, right? So tokenized gold essentially means people, you, me, that hold stable coin on the sideline, and knowing that our Bitcoin and crypto doesn't pump anymore, or probably we'll have to wait until the next cycle, right? So whomever actually cash out on Bitcoin at the high of 126,000, on the sideline, they'll have plenty of cash. They're like, you know what? Gold, silver are going all-time high. Metals are doing extremely well. What the hell can I do with this money, right? I don't want to go into Ethereum. I don't want to go into Solana, knowing that potentially we might be going through another bear market, and potentially Bitcoin can dip, get back to 55,000. Ethereum dip, goes back to about $1,000. I don't want to go in at this time. So that's why, all of this tokenized gold suddenly pump, right? So something like XAUT, PAGX pump well over 100%. Interesting, huh? So yeah, the crypto bros, the Bitcoin bros, they jump on any opportunity. Okay, so want to bring you guys some hopium of the day. I've got two hopium of the day. One is hopium news for the French people, for the French viewers out there. Are there any French viewers? Let me know in the comment section if you're a French viewer. Hit the like, guys. Hit the like, hit subscribe if you're French viewers. Okay, so France welcomes reserve bills to purchase 2% of Bitcoin supply. Interesting, right? So they're not starting to purchase, right? But they are considering, right? 2%, that's a lot, guys, 2%. So if they do, plan and execute this plan, France can potentially acquire 420,000 Bitcoin over 7 to 8 years. So, guys, right? So, the next halving is this, right? And imagine, more nations coming in, trying to build up their reserve. US trying to build up their reserve, right? How can you not be bullish about Bitcoin, right? Because there will not be enough Bitcoin for any of us anymore, guys, right? So bear that in mind. So this is like so much hopium just reading this, and I essentially, if only I've got more money, I'll just go all in. But anyway, no, not financial advice. Do your own research. I'm just a guy who loves Bitcoin, so that's why I talk about it all the time. And of course, I want to bring you more hopium, right? Right, more hopium, especially for our viewers in the US. Okay, so the final hopium of the day for all of you American viewers out there, right? So Trump has officially ended the Biden administration war on crypto. Okay, so you guys can now do whatever the hell you guys want on crypto, right? So I felt maybe this could somehow spark altcoin rally again. Perhaps not this cycle, but the next one. So we have a disappointing Bitcoin cycle this time around. Okay, I can't say disappointing Bitcoin cycle because ultimately Bitcoin was around 15,000. It got up to about 126,000, right? Within a matter of 3 years. I mean, how good was that, right? Can gold actually do that? No, absolutely not, right? So, of course, gold continued to run at many all-time highs. Bitcoin only get up to about 126,000. Bitcoiners, Bitcoin maxis, Bitcoin holders, we are all very disappointed with the Bitcoin cycle rally this time round. And of course, when Bitcoin cannot rally further, altcoins drop tremendously too, right? But something to look forward to for the next cycle, right? So let's hear this.
And so the president is correcting that wrong, and he has officially ended the Biden administration's war on the cryptocurrency industry, and I think that's the message he sent with this pardon. Karen, yes.
There you go. Hopium of the day. So we close today 24 hours, Bitcoin down $88,000, down to about $88,000. Small, tiny ETF outflow for Bitcoin. I don't know whether that's positive or negative, assuming that's pretty positive, right? But inflows, at least for Ethereum and Sol, so that's good. Fed hold rates, no surprise. I think we all knew about this. But meetings on crypto bill will be pretty exciting today, your time, around 10:30 a.m. in the US. So we'll see how that goes. And of course, gold and silver hit yet another all-time high. And of course, people in Bitcoin not too happy about it. But yes, overall, I reckon things are finally setting up a runway for Bitcoin to pump later this year or the next cycle, right? So I still don't think, we'll get back to another all-time high. It would be nice to get get us back to 200 days moving average, around $100,000 Bitcoin, so that some people can cash out a little bit from their swing back for Bitcoin. But we'll see. And more importantly, guys, check this out. 803 days more left. Okay, so I'll see you in the next video, and take care. Hit the like, hit subscribe. Bye-bye.